A moving story about a parent finding a purpose in the face of tragedy in the Mirror next. Nick, you've got this.
Yeah, tragic Manchester Arena bombing victim inspires proposed law to protect venues from terrorists. This is Martin Hett, who was tragically killed, and his mother has been working on this. And it was a horrific event, obviously, and we had all that don't look back in anger nonsense after it, when, of course, we need to look back in anger. And the measures will include venue staff needing counter-terror training, which seems reasonable, bosses carrying out stringent risk analysis inside and outside premises, and beefing up electronic security such as metal detectors, and it's going to be called Martin's Law. And again, this is where we are now. We should have done something about it much earlier when, for example, the guy who did this attack, whose parents had radicalised him in Libya, and then we let them in the country, So what are you going to do? Now it's at the stage where you just have to have a metal detector, and it's all much too late. But at least it's better than nothing for protecting people in these venues. I mean, young girls were killed in this attack. Absolutely disgusting. But at least I suppose this might make some people more safe. They needed to do something. I mean, the last time it was so negligent. And this guy, on the night, people were saying he was acting weirdly. Even before then, he'd punched a female student in his college or whatever. He had had a picture. People had seen a picture of him with a gun. He was on the MI5 person of interest list in 2014. So the fact that this is very much a last-ditch attempt to stop it when it's already been missed at all these other stages. But it's better than nothing, I guess.
I got to be honest. I am not a massive fan of this law. I can't imagine what the mum went through, the tragedy of her son, the 22 people who were killed that day. But they're talking about, who pays for it, because it's not coming from the government. They're talking like every ticket now has to have an extra 50p. What does this mean for queuing? The problem is Islamists. That is where resources, the time, needs to be spent and invested in and dealing with. So I agree with Nick that this is the last step, but let's go back to the first step. Let's sort this out. Let's, make sure that things don't get to this point.
So back to our first story about measuring who comes into the country and their visa status and so on. That kind of feeds into this, doesn't it? And so, although it's all getting a bit late, the Tories have got a chance if they implement. I mean, apparently this is in May. It will be a year since this happened. So the mother's been pushing for it. She's saying, get this done before May. That with potentially looking at these statistics about who's coming in and their status. I mean, is this an opportunity for Rishi to sort of finally get his act together, or do you think it's all just too late?
It's too late. Really? But the question is anybody going to use this as an opportunity? Because someone needs to do something. And it's like, is it this thing where we're just going to keep on taking these measures after the fact, the last possible measure, rather than try and sort it out at the beginning before it gets to this point? Are we just going to have security guards? And, we just had the last story. We're going to have machine gun police officers outside of schools. We're going to have security into every single public venue. Because they put that security there and the bombers would go somewhere else.
We will, because the unpalatable truth behind it all is that liberal democracy allows for a certain number of horrific deaths from these kind of incidents. That's just the reality. It's not what I believe in, but that's just what it is. That's what liberal culture is.